Yes, welcome to the Make Ready podcast. You're here with Daniel Tindall, that's me, and Adam Glover, that's you. How you doing, dude?
Yes, dude. It's good to be back here again, making this a consistent thing, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I thought I'd bring the topic of alcohol or sobriety to the table today because once when this is released, it'll be a couple of days away from me giving up alcohol 7 years ago. So it's been a big journey for me. It's been a really important decision in my life. Um, and I know it's something that a lot of men struggle with. So I thought it was a really important topic and yeah, wanted to unpack it with you, dude.
Yeah, man. Let's get deep into this. It's a cool topic. I think there's a lot to it. People often obsess over things and they latch onto something, but I think there's a good opportunity for us here to have a very wide approach to it with your lens of view and my lens of view and how we kind of think about that long
Yeah,
term of what alcohol is. And yeah, I'm super excited to get into this.
yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. It's always it's always been a topic where people can get really defensive or in like denial of whether they've got a problem with alcohol, whether alcohol is a problem in their life. It can be quite sensitive, but I'm going to share basically my experience because um, that's where I learn a lot of my lessons, right? So I chose to give up alcohol 7 years ago, and it sort of culminated because I was drinking too much, and it got to a point where my headspace was I was not in a good headspace, and there was a line on a particular night where there would have been a line potentially crossed in terms of my behavior, in terms of being violent when being drunk. And I realized then and there on that night, I was like, oh, this isn't happening. Not going there. The next day, I decided to quit alcohol. Um, and that actually proved a lot more challenging than I thought. Not necessarily because of me, but because how that impacted the people around me. Um, I ultimately, my partner at the time wasn't on board. It was something we did together, and it was part of our social life and stuff. So I lost the relationship over it, but I was very firm. I'm quite stubborn, and when I make a decision, I'm like, yeah, this is the decision. And I found that I thank God for alcohol-free beer. I really do. I love beer, man. Like that was always my thing. I love beer, and the improvements of alcohol-free beer really supported the sort of the sobriety journey because I could get that refreshing taste still. And to be honest, it was actually for me, it was aligning my actions with my beliefs. I'm not someone who ever defended alcohol and that, oh, it's okay, it's not too bad on your body, and it's this. I'm like, no, alcohol is like the worst thing in our society, and it's destroying people's lives and their health. And that's because I didn't drink a huge amount. Well, I did. I went through phases when I was younger because I've always trained martial arts and always, competed. So I went through good stints when I was young, when everyone else was out partying, being sober.
Mm.
And I knew the effects on sort of performance or motivation, and like I was fighting, so you can't be in a weight category sport or going out drinking every weekend.
Yeah.
So actually, what this decision did for me 7 years ago was just aligning to my beliefs. I didn't have to shift my beliefs to give up alcohol. I was like, oh no, like yeah, of course this makes sense. We know it's bad for it. So and it was the best decision I ever made, man. So and I'm very very grateful that 7 years later, that I'm still living without alcohol, and I cannot imagine being a dad. and consuming alcohol. I just can't imagine it, man.
Mm.
And I say that all from, and I don't talk about it a huge amount, mainly because I don't actually socialize too much with people who still drink. But often people will find, because I'll share my experiences, they feel like I'm then judging them for their decisions, which I'm absolutely not. I understand everyone has their own journey. Also, everyone has their own relationship with alcohol. I'm not very good at moderating.
Yeah, it's and thank you for sharing your story, man. It's interesting to hear it from your perspective, and to see your journey through alcohol, of how you kind of what you came to and the decisions you made. Um, my my journey and my relationship with alcohol has been something that's rather, I don't want to say the word integral, but I can categorically tell you from the age of probably 13, 14, that's where it started. You know, I grew up in the Highlands of Scotland, and it was very much something we did, very much something that I, in a desire to fit in, would do to excess to kind of be somebody within that, and travelled through my life. Joined the military. I mean, they go hand in hand, or did when I was first joining. It was very much an integral part of everything we did. It's how you socialise, how you spend time together. Before my first quote unquote wartime deployment, the whole pre-deployment training, when you weren't training and doing what you were required to do, you were spent socializing with the people you were about to go to war with, and all that good stuff. And it kind of it just continued. It continued. It became such an integral part and became such a thing, and it is still such a thing in my head. Of like, it's somebody who I've identified with. And I know we've had this conversation of how I view alcohol and what I'm thinking about it, and I'm on a journey now of, I'm not going to say sobriety, I'm going to say of reduction, especially with the goals I've got this year. It's right. We need to, like, the things I'm trying to achieve, they don't mix. Right now, they don't mix, and I don't have the opportunity to do so, because the goals of my physical fitness and my ability, my business goals from a nutrition coaching perspective, what I believe for what we're going to do for Mate Ready, I don't have time to bring alcohol into that mix. And to do it is silly. Now, there's probably, like you, an element of an inability to self-regulate when it comes to alcohol. And I'm not saying I am an alcoholic and I have one and then it's 20 and then but the tendency of the binge drinking culture, of how the military build it into you and into your life, is very much there. And like you said, beer, really like taste beer. So the growth in non-alcoholic beers are fantastic, because I have non-alcoholic beers quite a lot because I enjoy it, and it makes me feel good. And yes, there's a bit of back end hollowness, which I'm sure everybody who's drank alcohol has had that when they drank non-alcoholic beers. But for me, my relationship with alcohol is one of, you could line up a catalogue of disasters, so to speak, of my drinking career. You know, if you were to, oh, do you remember this, and before you know it, you're adding up 20 incidences of things that are just, what were you doing in that situation? And I look at it now and I go, right, the best version of Adam sits there and goes, that's not a thing anymore. It can't be a thing. What you're chasing, it can't be a thing. But I also definitely think that there is a point in my life where I am probably going to drink again. I think when I sit at it now and I think, is there a point in your life where you never have, I don't know, a glass of Ardbeg whiskey, which is the whiskey that I've had at points throughout my life that means a lot to me? No. I probably will have another, because that is so sentimental, so ingrained in my brain. But it's the it's the environmentals around that for me, right? Is what that is, and I'm not quite at the decision point of what I want to do really. At the moment, the non-alcoholic beer is doing a good job. It gives me what I need when I need it. I want to trial. I've seen a lot of hipster adapted. I can't even say the word. Where they've added things like lion's mane and reishi and cordyceps into beer, right, and like made it like a nootropic beer. Like I'm yet to try that stuff to see whether it's any good, but it interests me to kind of see, what sort of dosage are we talking here? Is it good enough to have any sort of quote unquote buzz? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Thank you, man. It's I think that reminds me of when I first changed my relationship with alcohol was to never say never, but just to take it one day at a time.
Mm.
For me was a big one because it was such a big part of my life. I used to be really into my heavy metal, going to like Download Festival every year and like going to gigs, and I used to have so much fun, like of course, drinking and everything, and I couldn't imagine my life without it, to be honest. I couldn't. So I was like, no, just not today, not today. And that spiraled and grew over the weeks and the months. And then I realized how good it felt not drinking and how damaging it was on not only my physical health. Like I think the year that I stopped drinking, it was 2000. I think it was 2019. I think that works time wise. I started. So I had 4 fights that year, and I started at heavyweight, and I was like 113 kilos, 114 kilos. I was probably more than that before I got before I cut for the sort of the fight. I was fighting 6'7" guys, which is just ridiculous. I'm 6 foot, and I ended up that year as a middleweight
Yeah,
at 84 kilos. I weighed in at, and it was it was easy, and that was mainly through I was training hard, but I just kind of stopped drinking.
yeah,
And I'm like, damn, like that impact of those calories on my waistline. But it wasn't just that; it was the mental health. It's the those days of that regret, that flashbacks, and the hangover, and the lack of productivity, all of that stuff. Just I just didn't miss it, and I was like, it's just not the best version of myself, and I wouldn't class myself as an alcoholic. I think I'd have made a really good one though. Like if I carried on drinking, I think I was going to give it a good, a good go. I'd give it a good go, um, and then I just realised it's a superpower being sober. I love being clear headed. I absolutely love it, and to give that up, and it took a lot of development, and this is sort of a big part of my personal development. I was like, oh, okay, I don't really like gigs anymore. I like the music, don't get me wrong, but gigs are really loud and it's full of really obnoxious drunk people. Do I really need to be going to these spaces? Having said that, I did go to Download Festival that year sober, and it was one of the best Download festivals I've been to because I remembered everything. I was like, actually, this is wicked. Love this. Um, so but it took me relearning to socialize because like yourself and like many people, especially in the UK, I used alcohol as a social lubricant.
yeah,
I was like, I don't know how to socialize without alcohol. So there's an element of developing those social skills, but also an element of being like, okay, I just don't like doing that thing.
mm.
I don't need to be in pubs. I could be out on the moors or sat around a fire. Like I do, I can change the way in which I socialize. So I did that, and then that journey of also meeting my friends who still drank in different places. Be like, hey guys, do you want to come out on a hike, or shall we go do this? Shall we go get lunch instead of beers? And it was just shifting that.
It's interesting that you say like how you talk about that in the sense of, I'll narrow in on the performance aspect of it from where you were fighting and the change that made, and we know like that the accepted consensus across all science of every study is that the best amount of alcohol is none. Right, from a performance aspect, that is the to improve overall output, performance, strength, fitness, productivity, brain capacity, all of it, brain elasticity. Bear in mind, I'm not Daniel Huberman, so don't ask me any more questions about that because, great. But the best version, the best amount of alcohol you can take is none. We know that. So when we look at it from a performance aspect for you, when you're fighting, we look at that change. Well, I'd argue as well, things like, yes, you were fighting at a heavier weight and get the calories were the thing, but also your performance would have been poorer because resting heart rate would have been far higher, heart rate variability would have been far lower. And for people who don't know, heart rate variability is the amount of milliseconds between heartbeats, not the variation between low and high heart rate. And what that is, the general consensus, not solidly, is how recovered you are as a person, right? And so when you drink alcohol, that heart rate variability, well, you all know what it's like when you're sat there with a hangover and your heart's going 10 to the dozen. You're like, well, your heart rate variability is very, very low. And it means your body's not able to take on any stress. So the interesting thing I would have loved to have seen is the difference for you. Like, what was Daniel like at heavyweight drinking alcohol? Where was his biometric markers? And then what was it like at middleweight where you were super, super competitive and super, super on it? That was definitely something I think would be really cool to see.
Maybe I need to start drinking again, or I can do the test.
I wouldn't say that. Maybe on this podcast we're not suggesting you should do that.
It's got a green light there.
No, I just said no.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting sort of looking at that performance aspect, and also, as you say, that sort of the best level of alcohol is 0.
Yeah.
I admittedly forget how ingrained it is in our culture. I do feel like it is getting better, but I also acknowledge that I'm not around people who drink, like my parents and my family, but they're not like big drinkers. But like going to the pub, like I don't have friends who go and do that at all. So I'm so detached now from the drink culture that it surprises me when I meet people and they still drink.
Again, for people who don't know Daniel, Daniel lives in the middle of nowhere, right? So there is where I currently live, whether I like to live here or not. I am in a city. I am in a big town that's got lots of pubs and all that sort of stuff, and it's definitely here. I live in a place with a big Nepalese community as well, so there's that side of things as well. But it's the culture in the bigger cities. I wouldn't say it is. I wouldn't say I'm connected to it at all. I just see it from afar. I'm like, like going out on runs on a Sunday morning. If I'm that way inclined, I'm like, Adam of 10 years ago would have been not in a good place right now. Probably would have just got into bed. And so there's that kind of disconnect from it as well. But yeah, like I said, you do have the benefit of you live in an incredible area that's very, very calm and serene and in nature, and kind of pulls you away from it.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to be sort of aside from all of that. It has been a good journey. I think for me though, the big learnings is it's the self-awareness of how I relate to that substance. And actually, it's to any substance, to be honest. I have a very addictive personality, and I've always had issues around sort of emotional eating, binge eating, call it what you want. So I've got a very for me, I've learned abstinence is best.
Mm.
As you know, I cut out refined sugar last year. I had it back in at Christmas for a couple of weeks, and then I've fasted off that, and it's back out because I can't do it. I can't have a pack of anything in the house because I can't just have one thing. Like, I'm really aware that I'm just not very good at having one thing. I've listened to quite a few podcasts on sort of addiction and stuff, and it's quite fascinating. It's like, yeah, if you're sort of almost genetically predisposed to addiction, then you should highlight that and do something about it quite quickly. Although we say, yeah, zero is the best, and we can look at the health implications of drinking alcohol, and sure, there is that. Would I absolutely not drink if I could only have one or two? I don't know.
It's interesting because I think so many people will preach balance and preach, oh no, you just need to learn how to not be all or nothing. You need to learn how to do this, and but if you know, if you like, and there's a difference here between knowing yourself, as in you've done many years of understanding who you are and understanding how you operate as a person. You've looked into it yourself, and I cannot have X in the house. Cool. But there's a big difference between that and somebody saying for the first time, "Oh, I can't do that because I'll just eat the whole thing." Well, have you tried X, Y, and Z? Like in the alcohol context, like, oh, I can't have, if I have one glass of wine, I'm having 3 glasses of wine and I'm drinking the whole bottle. Okay, cool. So that means that, are you then drinking that alcohol in your house? Yes. Okay, cool. So why don't we now make it a social thing? You go out for 1 glass of wine with a dinner and a meal, and then you don't come. Then after that, then fine. Like, you can find a medium there. But for somebody who, like you, has been through this journey over a long period of time, you understand yourself so well. Preaching balance to you now is just pointless. It's like, no, Daniel, you need to learn how to have one. You need to learn. It's like, no, I'm better without it.
And I had that narrative when I got out. I gave it up.
Yeah.
Why can't you just have one? Why? To make you feel better? That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Because the truth is, I can have one. I can potentially have 2. But what happens for me internally, and I know this, I spend the whole rest of that evening in an internal battle of not having any more.
Yeah.
And it causes me like anguish and pain, and I hate it. I don't like it. I'd rather not have any. It's the same with eating a chocolate. I'd rather not have any chocolate. I genuinely, it makes me feel good not having it, because I don't want to then have to go through this whole should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I. It's not. If it's not on the table, it's not on the cards. It's not a problem, and it's no problem. And I've got alcohol-free beer, so it's absolutely not a problem. Like,
you go like Guinness Zero is a game changer. Like for me, like, yes, again, everybody who has gone to non-alcoholic beer knows what I'm talking about, or non-alcoholic drink at all. There's no back end to it. There's no the best way to explain it. There's no heaviness to it.
yeah, agreed.
But the drink, like a Guinness Zero or the Erdinger one you put me on, like, or Ghost Shipyard.
Shipyard's Low Tide is one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
Shipyard's Low Tide. They're all fantastic, like really good. And I think we shared one in the forest where we had I think it might have been Erdinger, but it was just like that realization that, okay, that there is another path. Like, it's becoming more mainstream now. I think it's because for so many years not drinking alcohol has been, this isn't mainstream. You're pushing against what normal society say you should do, because that's all British people have done since Richard the Lionheart. Like, we've gone to the pub. We've gone to the pub and we've drank. And so it's gone all the way through all like World War Two, the 50s, the 60s, all of that is what we do, the 80s and 90s. And then now here we are, and then people are like, don't really want to do that. And now companies are having to make good alternatives that aren't shit. Like, I remember the first non-alcoholic beer I ever drank is a Beck's Blue, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it tastes like piss. Like, I don't want to drink this. But now you look at all these companies that are making such an effort. Like, I did a post recently about it. There's like Days non-alcoholic brewing company. There's Athletic brewing company. My only thing that annoys me about these non-alcoholic beers, no pints.
I know, man.
That annoys me. Yeah.
I need to get them on draft.
Like, I have had Brewdog alcohol-free punk on draft.
Yeah.
Incredible. I had it at the Brewdog bar. We were doing a leaving thing for one of my old colleagues, and he didn't want to drink, so that was great. So it wasn't that kind of battle. Like, right? It's like, no, we're just gonna get some food, but we're stop. And I tried it, and I was like, that is out of this world good. It tastes so good, it's so refreshing. And I was like, okay, there's another path. I don't have to play the fool. I don't have to, like. So when I joined the army, and I remember going out for the first time properly when I was allowed out after being gated in camp and treated like a crazy person. We all went drinking down in Portsmouth where I was doing my phase 2 training, and I thought, oh, Adam, it's your round, or Glover, it's your round. Go get the rounds. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. And I was like, oh, it'll be really cool. I'll get everyone Jaeger bombs. Okay, now where I grew up, Jaeger bombs are not what people call Jaeger bombs in England, right?
Okay.
Jaeger bombs where I grew up was a vodka and Red Bull with a shot of Jaeger dropped on it, not just Red Bull with a shot of Jaeger in it.
Oh, wow.
So I came back to the table with that stuff, and people were like, what is this? After they drank it, like, what is that? I was like, it's a Jaeger bomb. Like, so like the difference in correlation there. But I just, like, we go through all of this time, all these pros, like, it wasn't normal to do that then. Like, it wasn't normal. But now you can. I'm yet to see Guinness Zero on tap, but I can't wait for the day where I find it. Like, go out for a meal with my family or something and have a Guinness Zero on tap.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it will come. It's interesting that there must be bigger demand for it for the amount of companies doing it. And what I always really enjoyed about drinking alcohol and beer was all the sort of the new IPAs and tasting different ones, and you can do that now with the alcohol free. So it's it's good. I think it's definitely going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And as you say, there is another path, another way, and it does take a lot of self-awareness, I reckon, and it might change. It might mean changing your social circles. It might change how and where you socialize. But I really believe that if you're wanting to perform and showing up as a man in the best way possible, I don't think it has a place in your life. And if it does, it should be a very, very small place every now and again as a treat.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like weekly treat or even a monthly treat. I'm like a treat personally, because I think if most people were honest with themselves, most people who drink alcohol often, as in at least in a year, will drink more than they plan to.
Yeah.
Even the most restrained of people. Although I do admire the people who can just have one and put it down and seem to enjoy having that a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's. I think understanding where you're at, and it's the same with anything. So for me, that translates to food. It translates to, it's like that abstinence versus moderation. You need to know yourself. Can you moderate? And what is the cost? for me, the cost is a lot of willpower and a lot of effort and discomfort. That's the cost that moderation gives me. Just to have a beer or two, it's not worth it. And at some point, I know that's going to turn into more.
Yeah.
If I did that often enough, it's like you just flipping a coin or whatever the analogy is, rolling the dice, and until you hit drunk, and you're like, oh, it's going to happen at some point. So it's just, what's the point? Is it aligned to my big vision of who I am? And it is hard for men, and I think if you get in these, with your lads groups and stuff like that, like it's hard to step away from that drink culture because it's so tied to for a lot of men / boys. Sorry, guys. It's tied to masculinity.
Yeah.
A lot of boys think that being a man is about how much you can drink and how rowdy you can get and how much of a fool you can act. I remember that year when I went on a stag do with my friends who were incredibly supportive, but one of the guys on the stag do, I wouldn't have normally gone, but it was the Hungarian Grand Prix, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Hungary, that's cool. My only regret, as someone who's newly sober, don't share a dorm room with 9 guys. Like I felt hungover all weekend because I just did not sleep very well. Anyway, I lost man points. One of the guys sort of had a problem with me not drinking, and then he goes, "Oh, you've lost man points." I'm like, "Dude, I'm training for my 3rd cage fight this year. Keep drinking your estrogenic beer with your beer belly there. Like, what kind of reality are we living in that I lose man points for being sober, for looking after my mental, my physical, my spiritual health, and you gain some form of masculine credentials from drinking beer?"
Yeah.
Wild.
It's crazy. I think it's like this whole idea that when it comes to alcohol, the more you drink, like the better you are. Like I like the more you can handle your drink, and it makes you a better man. And I think it's fundamentally flawed. I think it is, because if you, like, say for example, like as I have done and as you have done, right? You go day drinking and that turns into night drinking, and then you're trying to hang one on until like 3-4 o'clock in the morning because you can hang one on and you're great. Well, you say for example, there you take on all that alcohol. You wake up the next day. The next 2-3 days, you're not yourself. You're not in any semblance of, and like, so to be the man, quote unquote, to drink that much, to then pay for it 3-4 days afterwards. Because I don't know about you, but I have always been violently hungover. like it's not a thing. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm okay, it's fine, I can drink whatever and I'm okay the next day. Nope, I am, and it puts me out of action. I'm just like, can't do anything. That's not a thing. Can't do anything. And I've done it. I've stupidly done it on days where I've got stuff on the day after, where I've got big requirements of me. Especially in the military, where it is a thing. You were saying earlier, like, you just keep moving to the right. So one becomes two, and then before you know it, you're back to the old ways of drinking because, oh, I know I can handle it now because I've conditioned. No, because the hangover in the performance is not just 12 hours or the next morning. It's 72 hours, 96 hours later, where your body's still trying to recover. Your liver's still trying to get rid of everything you put through it and to build itself back up again. It's not worth it.
It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think in a world where so many people are dealing with poor mental health because of the amount of time they spend on their screens, the amount of news and media we're consuming, that's all, that combined with you're putting in this poison into your body that is a depressant, it's a wild thing to inflict on ourselves.
Yeah, completely agree.
So yeah, it's very grateful I don't have it in my life anymore.
I'm interested to see my journey with this. Obviously, as we said, I'm very much in a different, not in a different, but I earlier along, I think, and just kind of seeing how, like you said, through my own lens of experience and what I believe. I'm interested to see how it plays out for me. You know, now that it's not a crux. I don't think it's ever been a crutch. It's something I am actively trying to understand a bit more. Like, one thing I am much more hyper aware of now is the why behind it, because I still have cravings. Like, you know, I'll have a stressful week. I'm like, just right now, it'd be awesome to just go into a pub somewhere and just have a few pints and just chill. And I do a lot more work in trying to understand why. Like, what's the causality here? Like, what's happened where you feel that way because of X? And I'm not saying that solves it. I'm not saying I'm sat here, well, now I know how it feels, so I don't need to drink. No, it's still there. I still feel that. I'm still like, ugh, you know, but the knowing the why of why I'm craving or why I'm feeling like I need that release allows me to compartmentalize and go, well, what release would actually solve the problem you're feeling? And most of the time, it isn't. You know, like I said, if it does turn to, no, actually, a nice refreshing pint would be really good right now. Okay, well, your next go-to option is an alcohol-free beer.
Yeah.
And over the past 4 months, so I very specifically remember us having a conversation. I've drank alcohol since that conversation. I've drank alcohol twice, but I've drank non-alcoholic beer quite a lot. But I've been in the shop making the decision to do it. Like, as in, I'd walk in and go, and I'd walk past the beers. There's been times where I look at the beers and go, oh, I'll grab one of them. I'll be fine. I'll just grab. I want to try BrewDog Black Heart because it's, you know. But I'll go, and I'll pick it up and go. I'll look at it and I'll have a little bit of a decision myself and go, right, okay, put that down. Go get the Guinness Zero or go get a Erdinger or whatever it may be. And I end up sat at home and I'm like, okay, cool. Drinking this is okay. Like, I chill it as fast as I can. I do the old trick where I douse like a kitchen towel in water and then put that in my freezer so it gets chilled really quickly. I don't know if you've ever done that. That's nice.
No, I haven't. I like
just
it.
Don't forget about it because otherwise the can will explode. So just like 15 minutes in the freezer, you get an ice cold beer. So like, because no beer is never ice cold from a shop. So even the stuff they put in the chiller. But yeah, do that, and I sit there and I chill, do whatever, and that kind of does give me that. And like I said, there's a company I keep seeing called Impossible Brew. That's an adaptogen. Yeah. I keep getting targeted ads for them, which is great. Happy with that. I'd much rather target ads for that. I'm yet to try them. The big plus is they're in bigger cans, right? They're not pint cans, but they're in like normal size cans. And again, they're adaptogens, so I think they've got some sort of nootropic fundamental to them. That'll be interesting to see whether, because they say, drink 1, feel okay. Drink 2, start to feel something. Drink 3, feel the buzz that you would normally get. So I'll be interested to see, because I want to try it as an experiment and be like, yeah, cool. Anecdotally, of course, like, what does that feel like for me?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how you get on with it and where you go with it. I think, yeah, I always just advocate for obviously giving it up to a large extent, knowing, and it's interesting, and I think that awareness, and you're absolutely right. Why do I want the beer? What is driving me to want that? And I think that's really important. For me, I come to what then? Okay, I have the beer or I have the night off. What's then going to happen? So whether it's I'll have one beer. What then? Oh, I'm going to go through that whole thing of where I want another one, and I'm going to be like, oh, I can have. That's going to be a pretty miserable evening. No, I don't want to do that. Or okay, do I go away with some mates for a weekend and drink? I could do that. My kids aren't there. If I could get a weekend away, I'm far too busy to do that. But if I could, what then? The next day, I'm going to be horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous, because like you, always had horrible hangovers. Like I am not, absolutely not functioning. I am in a burrito of sadness, in a duvet, just throwing up, and it's awful. But as you say, it's not that. It's not just the next day. It's the day after that, and I'm like, oh no, it's not
Oh,
worth it, man. It's not worth it.
I'm in a burrito of sadness. That is that needs to be the quote of this episode.
It's what happens. It's what happens. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. So and with most things now, I'm like, okay, what happens then? I have that thing. What happens then? Do I really want, say, for me, I've got a problem with sugar as well. Like I have that same sort of, it changes, does something to my monkey mind. Do I want that? No, probably not. No, I'm all right. Is there an alternative to whatever it is? Yeah, normally.
Yeah.
Or am I just trying to soothe something through food, through a thing where I could just be like, actually, just address the direct cause? And
Yeah.
that's why we do the work, my friend.
Exactly that. That's why we do the work. The now what kind of thing is such a that's yeah, that's something I definitely am leaning into more, and it'll be interesting because obviously, well, we plan on doing this podcast for a really long time, so it'll be interesting to see that journey because we're not gonna like for anyone listening to the podcast. I'm not sat here on a pedestal saying I'm perfect, I'm this, I'm that. I'm really not. Like I would actually you could probably class this as like, oh, this is a journey of what Adam is going through in his life and like stuff like that. I'm not saying this is my own personal therapy session. What I am saying is that, you know, I think it would be really cool to see what happens over the year and over just what goes on. And so I definitely want to bring that to this format. And I'm really interested to see how I cope with things that have previously derailed me,
Yes.
and with that awareness that I now currently have, or I am now trying to embody, the stuff that has derailed me before and the things that happen, what do I do to stop it? Or what is my immediate reaction? What am I what changes occurred? Because it's all well and good me sat here saying I'm doing X, Y, Z. But if I don't actually do it, it's pretty pointless, right? Like it's good intentions and all that, but I need to kind of stress test it, so to speak.
That's really interesting. Absolutely. Yes, we're here for the journey, and we're not on pedestals at all. We're just sharing our experiences. As you know, yes, we're coaches in our own fields, but we're also men trying to figure it out and dealing with our own battles as well and sharing them along the way. That point though that you just made really sort of hit home with me is the the how you cope with things that would have previously derailed you, and actually that just brought to my mind that if I was still drinking, I don't know what would happen in the last 7 years, because I've been through so much sort of stuff that if I was drinking, man, I'd have been in a terrible place, like a terrible place. So I really think the increase of resilience and your just capacity to deal with life is just so much better when you don't have that in
Yeah.
your life. So yeah, man, we're here for the journey, dude.
Go.
So, guys, hopefully that was of interest to you. Hopefully, it resonated. Whether you've changed your relationship with alcohol, or whether you're still consuming, whatever it is. Hopefully, just sharing our little 2 cents on it, and yeah, it's been helpful. And for me, yeah, it's been 7 years. I'll never say never. I love the idea of going to just love the idea of a pub, fire,
Yeah.
Adam, beers. But what then, mate? That next week, coming home to my 12-week-old son and my 3.5-year-old daughter, who's an absolute menace. No, I couldn't do it, my friend.
You
I
ain't
could
dealing
not.
with that, brother. No.
It's not happening. It's not happening. I think we'll have to make do with some hikes and some like good, healthy competition in the gym.
Yeah. And you know what? We could just research a pub that has non-alcoholic beer on draft and be like,
That'll
right,
be it.
that's
That's
it.
important. Let's do
That's
that.
we find that and we're good. Do
Yeah,
you know what? Hey,
absolutely.
I'm calling it. There's an app idea, right? That if I've ever heard of it,
Yes.
there's an app idea.
There we
You
go.
heard it here first, team. If you're watching this in
Yeah.
5 years' time, when you're using the I don't know the non-beer app or whatever we're going to call it.
We'll work on that one, dude. We'll work on that.
Oh,
We'll,
that's not good.
that's not marketing, poor marketing material. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that session, that podcast. Uh, if you got value from it, please let us know. Please share it with a friend. Please like, subscribe, follow, all of the things. And yeah, stay tuned until next time, guys. Keep showing up.